Hello everyone, and welcome to the Character Forge, where I work on creating a character for D&D 5th edition that focuses more on personality traits and background with a loose mechanical build. These characters aren't meant to be carbon copies, but instead give you inspiration for your own character ideas while tying them into Faerunian lore. Let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments. Today we're building Silco from Arcane, Father of the Year and my favorite character from the series hands down. A video I started when Arcane came out, so surely this is on time, right? Oh dear. Well, first, we're gonna need a couple things for our goals. First, we need a powerful presence of personality. You're not very tall, nor strong, yet you reduce people 3 times your size to henchmen. Second, you're nearly impossible to poison. You don't really get sick. You're breathing chemicals and poison-laden air casually while others choke and crumble around you. Finally, we need to know how to stab somebody really well when necessary, or shoot someone a few times. Now, for abilities, we're using the standard array. You have a powerful presence with a keen intellect and fantastic observational abilities, so we're going with 15 charisma, 13 wisdom, and 10 intelligence. Intelligence definitely feels a little low, but I have to work with what I'm given. On the other hand, you're lithe and surprisingly dexterous, especially when shanking your found brother repeatedly in the gut. But you're not very strong. Your daughter weighs like 80 pounds wet, and you barely manage to carry her, but you're a tough man. So due to this combination, we're going with 8 strength, 14 dexterity, and a 12 in constitution. Now for race, we're going with the reborn race, though you were originally just human. This will take care of your weaker constitution to resist toxins by giving you +2 constitution for a new total of 14 and +1 charisma for a new total of 16. You know common and undercommon, and most importantly, you now resist poison damage. You also have advantage on saves made against poison, disease, or death. You're a tough old man. You also gain proficiency in athletics and survival, 2 skills you desperately needed that came to you through life of struggle. Technically, you also don't breathe, eat, or drink to survive, but you can choose to. And you don't sleep. Instead, you pull an elf and you just sit there meditating for 4 hours. You also gain the ability to add a d6 to any ability check you want a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Which, when you combine that with reliable talent later, you can make some pretty potent rolls. Now, for your background, you were an abandoned orphan on the underground streets of Waterdeep. It didn't take you long to be swept away into crime, as gang lords and powerful criminal syndicates held at just as much power within those streets as the high nobility and battling guilds. You watched the rich and powerful overcome and dominate, and learned the only rule is power and will at a young age. Despite this realization, you wanted to better the city, the helpless, abandoned, and unwanted living in its bowels. Your skill with knife and tongue began to become quickly known. You knew how to read people and move them. You made friends, and your found brother stuck with you through it all. After you both escaped that orphanage, you became close friends. Through the street fights, running from the corrupt guards, and worse. Eventually, you both began to make a name for yourselves. You began to rally the weak to your purpose. And so you caught attention, and for that, you were cut down. They twisted their words into your brother's mind, slaughtered those he cared for, broke his spirit, changed his view on you, resulting in a fight, and during that fight, you were drowned, a dead man. Then, days later, you woke up being poked in a nearby alley, your eye burning and a pitch-black knife in your hand. It was a weapon you'd never seen before, and a soft whisper in the back of your mind, pushing you forward. With this as the basis, we're going with a variant criminal. This grants you a criminal contact and proficiency in Arcana, Stealth, a Poisoner's Kit, and Forgery Kit. Other proficiencies might have been preferable, but our class that we're now getting into covers that. So, for our class, you're starting off as your new powers and abilities begin to slowly manifest in you. You still retain all your old skills though, granting you your first level of Rogue. For a d8 hit die, proficiency in light armor and some weapons. In this case, the only thing that matters is a dagger and a hand crossbow. You're also proficient in Thieves' Tools and saves using Dexterity and Intelligence. For your 4 skills, choose Insight, Perception, Intimidation, and Persuasion. You can choose 2 expertise as well. For that, we're taking Persuasion and Insight. You're incredible at reading the room and people. You know how they tick and how to turn that into your advantage. You also have Sneak Attack, good for shanking. And you know thieves can't. Now at level 2, we immediately multiclass as your new granted powers activate. We're going Warlock. The boons granted to you from the depths of the water you drowned within, changed and enhanced by the magic within them. This gets you an otherworldly patron, and we're taking Hexblade. I highly recommend my variant, which changes the Cursed Spectre into a term I call Hexstorm. This allows you to essentially cast a spell and take the attack action once per short or long rest. Fits the theme in my opinion far more than a weird summon every Hexblade forgets exists anyway. Now, this also grants you Hex Warrior, so you can wear Breastplate, and proficiency in shields and weapons that you probably won't use anyway due to needing a hand to cast. You could use a sword instead of a dagger though. With Hexblade's Curse, you're able to focus your ire on a single target to give them a very bad day, and an expanded spell list for your packed magic. Speaking of, for your spells, take Eldritch Blast and Mind Sliver for when you want to pull a gun on someone or attack them psychologically. Arm of Agathis grants you a degree of protection due to how fragile you can be, and Hex is excellent when you run out of your Hexblade's Curse. Level 3 allows you to go into Warlock again, and that gives us Invocations. Take Agonizing Blast to make your long range far more reliable when your sneak attack can't be triggered, and Devil's Sight to play in your new Pitch Black Eye granted to you by your patron. For your spell, take Charm Person. No need for every situation to end in a fight. At level 4, we're switching back to Rogue and staying here for a short while. You get Cunning Action, which is now many more things for you to do with your bonus action, like run away, or avoid being hit, so you can run away, and then shank them later. Level 5 puts us at a 3rd level Rogue, granting us an archetype. Mastermind would be suitable, but it's really lackluster unfortunately, and there are other things that work quite well in spellcasting. Due to this, we're going with Arcane Trickster. This allows you to use your mage hand for far more things from a distance, such as picklocks, pockets, carry objects over, and so forth. You also get spellcasting, but keep in mind though, you can interchangeably use these spell slots with Warlock Pack Magic, but casting these spells requires you to use your intelligence modifier for them. So for these spells, you're wanting to avoid saves and attacks, which is fine because most of the things that you want with your spells don't use that stuff anyway. So, for your spells, take Booming Blade, Friends, and Message, playing on making that shank more potent, as well as your innate charisma and ability to coordinate with your allies from a distance. For your 3 spells, take Shield, Absorb Elements, and Featherfall, all important for Hollywood stunts of surviving explosions, gunfire, and steep falls off massive buildings. At level 6, we're switching back to Warlock, which gives us one of our Pact boons, and we're taking Pact of the Blade to ensure you'll always be able to pull your knife, or sword, whatever you've chosen, on someone despite appearing unarmed and harmless. For your spell, take Suggestion, and use it wisely to maximize its effect. Level 7 gets us +2 Charisma for a total of 18. Plain simple. You're quite reliant on that score after all. For spells, take Sword Burst for the moments you need to shank someone more than just once, and Hold Person to really ruin someone's day if it lands properly. Level 8 is where we'll pause on our Warlock levels for a bit, but for now it grants us an additional invocation, and we want Eldritch Smite, because when you shank someone, we want to ensure we hit them as lethally as possible. We really don't want them to get up afterward, and we really don't want to be drowned again. Now for your spell, take Counterspell. Now that your gifts are clear to you, you most assuredly don't want anyone else to be capable of what you're doing. Now at level 9, we're switching back to Rogue, and staying here for a while this time. You get a +2 Charisma for a new total of 20, capping it off. For our spell, take Silvery Barbs and manipulate word and magic to ruin someone's day and give yourself an extra shot at critting your next Shank Smite combo. At level 10, we're at 5 Rogue, so we get Uncanny Dodge. Fantastic when our shield spell just won't save us. Level 11 gets us our next set of expertise for Perception and Intimidation. Our Survivor's Instinct and Indomitable Presence making it even more clear that we're not to be trifled with. Level 12 gets us the bane of every DM's existence, Evasion, making us that much harder to actually put down. For our spell, take Invisibility and use it in those moments you want to just appear to scare someone to death, or during an emergency to escape. Now at level 13, we are able to acquire our first proper feat. Take Resilient in Wisdom to ensure you are the one charming and tricking people, not others to you. For your spell, take Mirror Image to help ensure when you're attacked, it's far less likely to actually land against you. Now at level 14, that puts us at 9th level Rogue, giving us Magical Ambush. For our arcane trickster spells, this is basically useless, but the effect also applies to your warlock spells, making it far more powerful. Just dip into stealth real quick and cast hold person, forcing disadvantage on their save, and then shank them. Now at level 15, that puts us at 10 levels of rogue. For another feat, take tough to help make up for how fragile you can be at times, now that it actually has some weight to it. For spells, take minor illusion for its numerous benefits, trickery, and utility. Also take misty step for the moments just disengaging won't save you, like a DM with the sentinel feat, which is terrifying. Now at level 16, that puts our rogue capstone up on reliable talent, meaning we basically never fail when combined with our racial and expertise. For our final rogue spell, take See Invisibility and cover that final base that your eye doesn't actually handle for you for detection purposes. Now at level 17, we're switching back over to Warlock at 6th level now, so we either get the Accursed Spectre, which is a questionable summon at this tier of play, but you could use it as a sort of wannabe familiar, I suppose. Or you can just ask your DM about that Hex Storm feature I mentioned earlier, and making a hybrid of it if they feel it's too strong. Either way, for your spell, take Hypnotic Pattern and control the battlefield with your magical ambush. At level 18, you get a new invocation. Take Ghostly Gaze and gain the power to see through walls. That, when combined with your perception, makes you an amazing detector. For your spell, take Charm Monster for the clutch moments when you're not just dealing with people. At level 19, you get a final feat. Take Mobile and combine it with your rogue mobility to maintain distance after your initial shank fails to kill them, so you can just unload Eldritch Blasts into their face from nice and far away. For your spell, take Staggering Smite for an added level of shanking damage and debilitating effects. Finally, level 20 gets us our last invocation. Eldritch Sight, Thirsting Blade, or Improved Pack Weapon are all acceptable choices here, so are many of the others. At this high level, it likely varies on the campaign you'll be playing in. For your spell, take Scrying or Hold Monster to round out your information gathering abilities or your combat control. So, how strong is Silco as a build after all this? Honestly, pretty potent. Your skills are amazing, making you a phenomenal scout, detector, and a party face. You even have decent dabbling in survival, stealth, and arcana if the wizard or cleric can't handle a situation. Next, you have a plethora of spells to control combat and use outside of it. Invisibility, charms, area control, forced rerolls, shield, absorb elements, and the list just keeps going. And finally, you have incredibly high damage options between sneak attacks, smites, eldritch blasts, and if you start mixing in poisons and other items, yeah, it's gonna get nasty. Not including Hexblade's Curse. And with all that said, as far as weaknesses, well, when your only downside that's blatantly obvious is low strength, you know the build is pretty potent for 5th edition. The only other two issues are, like, vague and not really that big a deal, such as your AC is pretty low, even if you use a shield and have no knife for spellcasting, that's only an 18 AC, so 23 with shield. Similarly, you can use spells like Absorb Elements and use your evasion and uncanny dodge, so on and so forth. But those are technically things that spend resources you're limited on, like reactions. You only get one a turn, so in high-level combat, that's a problem. And of course, the others rely on spell slots, which you don't have many of. You have more than a pure warlock, but that's not a high bar. Finally, you have pretty low hit points. 180 after taking the tough feat isn't that great. It's pretty solid. You managed to beat the 150 minimum that I instated on all these builds to make it not count as a total weakness. But it's not very impressive, and for someone that needs to be on the front line to shank someone in order to deal your maximum damage, not that great. But as long as you're careful with proper mobility and placement, you should be okay. But the reality of this build is that you're trying to emulate Silco, who wouldn't be stupid enough to put himself in those positions very often. Think before you act, duck, dodge, pay attention to your surroundings and the people around you, and when all else fails, shank and run away. Better yet, use your plethora of utility spells and your skills to handle a situation before it escalates into violence. That's definitely where you shine. As always, thanks for watching. If you have a character you'd like to see, let me know in the comments. What would you do differently for this build? What did you like about what I did? Anything catch you off guard? As always, let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, check out one of these maybe? A thank you to all my Patreons. If you'd like to guarantee a video, then check out my Patreon to commission me once a month at higher tiers, or get to just directly vote on the videos for just $3. But even beyond all that, just thank you for supporting my work and watching this video. Have an amazing day, everyone. Be safe, be kind to yourselves and each other. See you in the next video.